There is a lot of discussion about gender roles on television and how they affect us as a society. The stereotypes and discriminations toward both genders has carried through generations. In the early 1950s, it became extremely popular to watch TV. There were shows such as Milton Berle that commanded so much attention and audience. Then in the 1970s, Monday Night Football was so popular that restaurants would close as they were not getting any business. There were only 11 or 12 channels back then, so people had less of a choice than today. But it was very popular back then, but there were no DVDs or TiVo. None of these things to see your shows at another time for your convenience. So the boys and the girls, how does gender shape who we are, what we want, and how we get along? And in specific, how does television affect this too?
School years, children have a strong sense of gender identity and gender role expectations. Most 2-year-olds know with certainty whether they are male or female, and by the age of 4 or 5 begin not only to develop gender constancy, but often show rigid standards for what they believe is appropriate male and female dress and behavior.
Can boys put on dresses? Do girls have short hair or long hair?
Long hair.
Are you a boy or a girl?
A boy.
Are you ever going to be a girl?
No.
What are boys like?
I don't know.
Are they different than girls? How are they different than girls?
Because they don't put stuff like girls on.
Boys don't put on girls' clothes?
No.
Can girls put on boys' clothes?
No.
Alexis, are you a boy or a girl?
A girl.
Are you ever going to be a boy?
Mm-mm.
Are you a boy or a girl?
Boy.
Are you ever going to be a girl?
No. Boys are better than girls.
Why?
Because boys are stronger than the girls sometimes.
What would happen if you put on a dress?
All the girls and all the boys will laugh at me. I won't look like a boy, that won't look like a girl.
Would it be okay?
No way.
Young children appear to begin to acquire gender role stereotypes at about the same time that they develop gender identity. And by the age of 3 or 4, most children, when asked questions about the activities appropriate for a male doll and a female doll, readily give stereotypic responses.
Which doll likes to clean the house?
This one.
Who takes care of the babies?
This one.
Who goes to work?
This one.
As you can see, kids think that there's a certain way for doing everything, acting, and how what each gender should do. But this is not necessarily correct. These are just stereotypes. For example, in the video, when the man asks which gender goes to work, the kids always point to the man. We know this is not true today because both men and women are working people. Also, they said which one cleans the house, and they pointed to the mom. They always think that the mom is one that cleans while the dad goes to work, but that's not necessarily the case now because now it's more equal. Now, looking at the sociology perspective, the feminist perspective on gender roles. She also believes that the roles played on television help the male culture dominate and make it seem as though it is higher. A feminist says women must avoid being entangled in a mob mentality. Ms. Sommer says that she believes that women are trapped in what they call a sex-gender system, where American women are in the thrall to men and the male culture, and that it's silly. The show I want to show right now is Seventh Heaven. It came out in 1996, approximately 20 years ago, and it showed more equal gender roles. The mom in this case, which I want to focus on, is Catherine Hicks. Catherine Hicks played a mom, and in this series, instead of being the housewife, she worked. She volunteered at schools and churches, and it just showed that women have a bigger role in these times. One interesting fact about gender roles in television is that women are underrepresented in television, about 3 to 1, 3 men for 1 woman. The fact that the majority of voiceovers on television are male, that there are more males on the news, readers on television, and that many of the major film directors are men indicates that male has the authority and the control of the world in television. In voiceovers in 1 hour on television, the percentage is men 80% and women 20%. This represents the world through the eyes of men. Most women's voices in commercials are to sell products such as laundry, detergent, diapers, and jewelry. Advertisers also use women as sex objects to sell their products such as beer. There's an evidence that a stereotypical view of gender role may influence the viewers, especially the young ones. There's been many studies done on the effect of television messages on young viewers, but the data is not inclusive. However, all the studies indicate that there's a strong possible connection with stereotypical ideas. This can relate to the video I showed before, which shows that there are stereotypes in the media that even relate to young kids. Now, relating the learning theory, which is a psychology theory, to gender roles in television. Learning is known as a quantitative increase in knowledge. Learning is acquired information or knowing a lot. Learning can be memorizing. Learning is storing information that can be reproduced. Learning is acquiring back skills and methods that can be retained and used as necessary. This relates to gender roles in television because many children and young children and even preteens watch TV on a regular. If they're watching TV and they see a gender role, they might want to copy and they might think that it's okay. If they see the woman cooking, they might think it's their job to do the cooking in the house while the men goes to work. A lot of these are shown in the more old-time TV, old cartoons maybe, but in a lot of newer shows, it doesn't always show that. Psychologists say learning is a process. If the process is over a long period of time, we still have time to change what is known as gender roles and the stereotypes. If we have TV that shows equal gender roles, then maybe young children will learn the proper way of doing things. A good example of gender role equality is the show Grey's Anatomy. In Grey's Anatomy, there are female doctors. This is good because it shows that women are high-class doctors, they're earning money, and they aren't just doing housework. Another good twist on things is the show Melissa and Joey, starring Joey Lawrence and Melissa Joan Hart. In this show, it's the exact opposite of the old gender roles. Melissa is a working lawyer, and she works in politics. Joey is their nanny. It's a good show because it shows how the men can be the nanny and the women can be the worker too. An anthropologist discusses cultural materialism. With cultural materialism, there is technological and economic aspects that play the primary role in shaping a society. The technological aspect would be the media. This shapes society because it tells us the gender roles and how we should act. As a society, we usually follow those. Thank you for watching my gender roles presentation.